Hello, I am Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together, we are TwinFinity.
We are twin flames in union who are sharing our 20-year journey through a series of videos. And this is our fourth video.
I'd like to start with a recap of what's going on. But before I get into the recap, this video is going to be probably the most challenging one we've done so far. We have lots of props and we have lots of small stories to jam together into making one big story. And also, we've got a little bit of a dedication to start out with as well.
Yes. I would like to dedicate this video to my brother, as some of you know, who just passed away on Thursday, what was it now? November 9th. Amazingly enough, he is actually still communicating with us even though he's on the other side, and his message from the other side is just about love. So we thought, what a perfect video to dedicate to him, because this is the video that we're talking about our love story. So just in honor of our brother, or my brother, Ken Carrier, just wanted to share our story in honor of him.
Last video, we talked about our amazing day together,
Yes.
and that it truly was. Some of the things that had happened that were, well, just magical gifts from spirit. You could call it whatever you wanted, but just also our amazing connection that we had during that day. And one of the most amazing spots was a place called Johnson Canyon. That's where we had our Tiger Ice Cream Rock. And by then, we had talked lots on the phone, and we had that day together with lots of communication. And we had started to develop words that meant something to us.
Yeah, so while he's telling about some of these words, I'm actually going to show you in my journal. I had started writing a list of these words just because they were just coming to me.
It's not a small list.
It's not. In fact, you can see at the top, if you can really see it well, it says July 27th, so that was 2 days after we met. So there's some of our words. Then here's some more. Now what's really funny though is I still don't quite remember why I made the list the way I did with only half a page. I think I was meaning to, so that we could add more, but I don't know why I just didn't save pages for later to add more.
Or maybe
I still don't quite get that.
Maybe we were going to expand on where these words came from and what they meant, define them better. Yeah.
So here's another page. So as you can see, tons of words. They just kept coming and coming, and they just resonated with us.
Some of the most significant ones, well, one of them was wow cubed. There's a phrase already, not just a word. But wow cubed, like, something is wow. And then, if it's really wow, it's wow squared. Well, even wow squared wasn't good enough. So we went like wow cubed.
And how this actually came about is as we were doing our hike in Johnson's Canyon, and just I would say something and he would go yes, or he would do that and I would go yes, and it just became so amazing. Like, how do you get me? So we just connected so deeply that we'd go wow, and then so we just finally decided wow could just be wow cubed. Just shorten it and make it nice and easy, and we just knew what that meant for our own little secret code.
Another one was a phrase of comfort.
Yes.
It was beanbag chair.
This was adorable.
Beanbag chairs, you sit into them and they nestle into you, and they're even pressure all the way around you, and you just snuggle right into them. That's like a snuggly, warm, comfortable thought is a beanbag chair moment.
And this is actually one that Rob came up with all by himself. I can't take credit for that one. And expand maybe like it was a soul in a beanbag chair. So what he was trying to say with that is like his soul just felt so
comfortable. Comfortable.
Like, how when you sit on a beanbag chair, like you just kind of mold right in with it. So I think he was also describing our connection, how we just molded and blended, and what's the word that it was merged together. Like we already felt that from our very first day.
Angie is completely right on this. It was talking about how the soul felt.
Yes.
Aside from the fact the human can also feel pretty good too. Another one, and this is very important, this has probably been our strongest word, is tangent. Tangent, most people know sort of what a tangent is. Like when you get off track, you get off on a tangent. But a lot of things we talked about, we'd get off track on, and we'd be off track for an hour because the tangent was actually very important too. And then we'd be like, where were we? And then we'd get back onto the main topic. Even now, with our videos. We've got so many things outside of our story that we'd like to talk about that we are going to once in a while have a tangent video. We'll call them a tangent talk.
Yeah.
And that way, if we start out with a tangent talk, it's not our story, but probably it has lots to do with our story because we've now got lots of ammo to compare the past to the present and maybe even a little bit of our future, if we could possibly predict that.
And we haven't even fully discussed this, but I'm going to throw this out there right now. Just before we were making this video, we were talking about how amazing it is, the place we're at right now. We're both in the very same place we were 20 years ago in terms of his work is more intense than it normally is right now. I'm deeply into spiritual stuff, especially with my brother's passing, and I've got him talking to me when I meditate, and he's telling me all sorts of things about the spirit world. So we're in very different worlds right now. He's very deep 3D, I'm very deep 5D, and that's what blew us up, or started to blow us up 20 years ago, because we were in totally different places. But now we're able to still be in those places, but yet still stay connected with each other because we're both more balanced.
A lot of this is the work that happens when you've, let's say, blown up and you've got years apart. It's the work that happens during that time that allows similar circumstances that used to blow you apart to not quite blow you apart anymore.
So we might actually make that a tangent talk down the road and just explain how we can be in those same places but yet still be together instead of where we were at before and not being able to be together.
Okay. Anyway.
So I wanted to start by sharing our next day of what happened after we left the elevator. We were last kind of talking about how we left the elevator the first day we met after 17 hours together. And our souls had merged so much together that it was like ripping a piece of our body off of us when we had to leave the elevator and say goodbye for the night.
Like, it's never comfortable getting back up out of that beanbag chair.
Yeah.
No, you have to have a good reason. and separating in an elevator was not a good reason.
So the next morning, because we've shared the word wow cube, this will make sense to you now. I had fully intended, first of all, I woke up and just thought, what was that? That was freaking amazing. I don't know what happened to me yesterday, but wow cubed. So I had decided I was going to call Rob and just leave a message on his answering machine saying, wow, cubed. I figured he'd be off on his next mountain adventure, so he wouldn't even be home. So I wrote this in my journal, so I just wanted to read it again because it's authentic if it's in my journal. So I wrote, the next morning I thought of calling Rob and leaving a message on his machine to say, wow, cubed, just because he would get it. He was home, though, and he invited me up, and we chatted some more. I was on the couch and he was on the floor at first.
Yeah, couch and floor. I was a very, I don't even want to call it typical bachelor, but there's many different styles of bachelors. I didn't own a bed. I had a one-bedroom apartment, but my one bedroom was a weight room. I had 2,000 pounds worth of iron. That was my life back then, and it still is a little bit of my life right now too. But so I didn't have a bedroom, so I didn't have a bed. I would just throw a sleeping bag on the floor of my living room right in front of my couch, and I'd throw another sleeping bag over top of me, and I had a couple of pillows, and I lived like that for years and years and years.
Yes. So we're chatting away. I'm on the couch, he's on the floor, and then with just out of the blue, he says to me,
I can keep perspective if you want to come down to the floor.
And what's really funny, again, from our past videos, I didn't have a lot of experience with men. I wasn't very comfortable with men. But yet, from our first day together and even our phone calls prior, I was so comfortable with him that I was down on that floor in a flash. I was in his arms, and it just felt right to be there. So this is what I wrote. I said, I thought for a second, and then I said, okay, and was on the floor curled up with him. We were both tired, but ended up talking more for another 10 hours, as if we hadn't talked enough on the phone the few days before and then our 17-hour day together. We're crazy. I shared the sexual abuse stuff with him, and we did more bonding and got to know each other even more. I was surprised with him. He kept kissing me on the cheek, the forehead, the neck, and kept looking at me like he never wanted to let me go. It was adorable. It was like the most... it was funny that this person that I had just met, I could see that look in his eyes that he didn't want to let me go. I recognized that even then. And what he said to me as he was kissing me all over my face and my neck and my nose and my eyelids, I mean, every ounce of my face, he was just all over me, just the love poured out. And he says to me...
I had to express myself. The only way that I could is I said, my cup runneth over.
And it was so true, because his cup was running over. He was pouring love into me like you wouldn't believe.
And now my cup gets to run over all the time, and I just love it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we chatted from the morning until 3 a.m. when he had to get up because he was going whitewater rafting. Now, this is what's also kind of cool is just met him. He's already going whitewater rafting. I had already had a trip booked for about a month in advance and was going to be going whitewater rafting. And about 2 weeks before we met, I actually went skydiving, oddly enough.
I was already a skydiver.
And oddly enough, I went skydiving with the brother that just passed away. So, again, kind of cool that we get to talk about him in our video. He had actually taken me skydiving for a graduation present from nursing. So, yeah, how neat that we both went skydiving. Like, he was a regular skydiver. I had just gone skydiving, and he was going whitewater rafting, and I was going whitewater rafting. We had all these things in common that we were doing without even knowing it.
We were already paralleling our lives before we had a chance to parallel our lives.
Yes. So he's getting up at 3 in the morning to leave for British Columbia, a whole other province from what we live in, to go skydiving, or to go whitewater rafting. So what's really funny is he just left me in his apartment. I mean, it's not even like I lived far away. I lived an elevator ride down to my floor on the 11th floor from the 36th.
And I didn't send her downstairs saying, okay, it's time for us to go. I just went, okay, I'm gone.
Yeah, I mean, he felt so comfortable with me already, and I felt so comfortable with him that he just left me to sleep in his apartment. And the next morning, I called him from my apartment saying, okay, I made it back home, as if home was so far away. But it was just funny how it all kind of happened the way it happened. So that evening, he calls me. In fact, I'll just read my journal, because it kind of, again, explains it all perfectly. Then at about 9:30, Rob called and said, can I ask you a question? This is 9:30 p.m. now. Can I come over? So Sunday, July 27th, Rob saw my place. I was already in my PJs, but decided not to get dressed. He was barely in the door before I was asking for a hug. I was totally different from how I thought I'd be. I told Rob to expect me to run a bit because I'd need some time to figure this out. So this running is a very common term in the twin flame community, and it's a little bit of foreshadowing for the future. So be aware for next video. There might be some running, chasing topics going on. So I know some people in the twin flame world don't like the whole runner-chaser dynamic, and they don't necessarily feel it fits right. We're going to use it because it's in my journal. It's exactly what happened.
We had that dynamic. It's hard to call it anything else. It's just the most descriptive. So whether you cringe a little bit or whether you completely relate with it, it's just how we were. So
it was just part of our story. But we'll leave that for next video.
Yeah.
This is the love story. So I was saying that I was amazed that I was not running away, but two, I was actually so comfortable with him that I felt safe enough that I wanted to be close with him. So he was actually coming over because he was afraid, knowing that I'm a runner, he was afraid that I was going to be in runner phase, and he was like, okay, are you okay? So we determined that we were okay and everything was well. So we ended up spending quite a bit of time together. He ended up spending the night that night at my apartment, and we talked most of the night again.
Yes.
Now, do you want to explain to them? You were all worried that they were going to be like, what's going on?
The spending the night yet. There's nothing extraneous going on here yet.
It was literally talking.
Lots of talking.
Communication has always been the number one thing in our relationship, which we're so grateful for, because in our opinion, it's the key to success. If you can't talk, you got nothing. We talked from the very beginning. We still do. So it's amazing. So let me just find where I was at in my journal, because it's kind of funny how I shared how we just talked. Oh, yeah. So I was saying, he spent the night, and even though both of us were incredibly tired, we stayed up and talked most of the night. Then most of Monday morning. Finally, Monday night, we got up and had some cereal. Yes, the nutrition that I feed him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back to bed and talked some more. More deep bonding. I told him about Nicole, and he told me about Robert Jr. So now we're going to stop and explain who those people are. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. For me, Robert Jr. is my inner child. That child that never really had a chance to be a child because I was always hanging around adults, doing adult things. My inner child still existed, just it never had much of a chance to come out. So
Yeah.
whenever I couldn't really explain myself as an adult, I would often let my inner child do the expressing, or understand it was my inner child that was trying to do the expressing.
And for me, Nicole was my inner child. And actually, I didn't even think of this, but this is a good segue into another topic I'll briefly explain.
Are we tangenting?
We're tangenting already. This is fun. I love tangents. Most people ask, or, maybe even explain that they always knew they had a twin, even though they didn't understand it. They always knew they could feel somebody, something. Like, again, Kalina, if you watch Kalina Malnar's video, she talks about from the age of 16 that she connected with the fact that she could feel somebody else. She knew that she was connected deeply. I never felt that. What I did feel, though, is I always had this weird kind of intuitive feeling that I would have twins, that I would have children that were twins. And I had always picked the names Nancy and Nicole for them. Just always wanted two names that were like the same. Of course, years later, didn't have kids, didn't want kids. We'll get into that in our future videos as to why that came about. So through counseling, of course, I had to do a lot of inner child work to deal with a lot of my childhood and traumas and stuff. And my counselor taught me all about the inner child and working with her, and I chose to name her Nicole. So that's my inner child's name. So we were now bonding so deeply just a couple days after we met, and now talking about our inner child with each other and sharing all these deep experiences about who these other beings were within us. So I had wrote, it was incredible bonding and sharing on a level that I never thought I would get to with another person. So true. I mean, I never ever thought I'd be able to talk to anybody about my inner child. I thought they'd think I was a nutcase. Like, who has this inner kid that they acknowledge and talk to and comfort? And
people nowadays talk a lot more about inner childhoods or inner children within themselves. 20 years ago, it was a little bit commonplace, but not a lot.
Yeah,
everything was still a bit of a
really.
reach back then.
Yes.
That was more psychologist talk, not
Yes.
regular people talk.
Completely. So then I wrote, finally, Tuesday morning, July 29th, Rob went back to his place.
Okay. Now, this is where we talk about 90 hours with 8 hours sleep. Let's go way back to when I went whitewater rafting, and this is like 3 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and now that's all happened, and I've come all the way back home from British Columbia, and then gone to her place, and we've chatted, and my cup has runneth over, and then we've talked, and now all of a sudden it's Tuesday morning, and we have barely slept. We've had a couple hours here, an hour there. It added up. It was 90 hours with 8 hours sleep when we get looking at it.
We literally would talk and talk and talk for hours and then fall asleep for maybe like an hour.
Yeah.
And then wake up and talk again.
Somebody would wake up, go for a washroom break, come back, and we'd start talking again. We were just destroyed. We were tired. We were done.
But it was like we were somehow living in another world, like we just still had this energy. Even though we were tired, something was propelling us to just keep going. And it was like we were connecting of, okay, I haven't seen you for so long that I got to catch up. And again, we didn't know we were twin flames. We had no idea of this dynamic. But there was just this draw of, I know you, but I haven't talked to you in a long time.
But let's also call this a sleep-deprived level of meditation. And through that meditation, there was more depth than you could get by being fully awake and conscious and completely in your 3D. We were drifting in and out of sleep. and we were coming up with topics to talk about that were not casual or common.
Just so deep. I mean, again, like inner child. Who shares when they've just met somebody for the last 2 days and they're talking about their inner child? Like, we had deep stuff. It's pretty cool. So let me find where we are next. Oh, yes. Castle Mountain is next. So August 1st, I can't even remember what day of the week that was. I think it was a Friday. But
I think it was a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, everything that we're sharing in this video is a week. It's just a week. But yet it felt like a month. So I wrote, August 1st was a great day. We left at 4:30 in the morning so that we could watch the sunrise on the way to Castle Mountain.
I'm going to obliterate us with a picture from that day. There is a picture of the sunrise. That's not a sunset, that's a sunrise. That was a beautiful day.
Yes. So we were going to climb our first mountain together. Of course, this is together. Rob had climbed many mountains before that. This was the first mountain I've ever climbed, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
It's called Castle Mountain, and I hope that this picture does it a fair bit of justice. This is from the road, looking towards the ramparts of Castle Mountain.
Can you hold it up a little more so they can see the date, too? There.
Oh, yeah, date down there by my fingers.
It's another one of my pictures with my fancy camera that had the date stamp, which I love because it's so neat to not only have pictures from our times together in 1997, but to have the date stamp that confirms that it was really that day. So this was, my journal says August 1st because I was confused. What I had done, I mean, it took me days to process everything that we went through. So I finally just wrote like 10 pages worth in my journal of our week and a half, 2 weeks together. So I was a little confused on dates. I wrote August 1st, but the picture says July 31st. We believe the picture. Nonetheless, we're going to climb a mountain. So I wrote that at 7 a.m. we started our hike. I was very nervous and wondering what I was doing. I felt very much out of my league. Robert was very in tune with me. Amazing. So stopped me on our walk, took both my hands, looked me in the eyes and said, "Let the fun and excitement come to you. Don't chase it." Wise words. I remember so clearly that moment where he said that. And I was just like, thank you. Like it was brilliantly said. So then I wrote, as soon as he said that, Nicole, inner child, came out and I did a little skip and squeal. Then things were good. I was excited instead of nervous. So that was the beginning of our hike. I was nervous because I'd never climbed a mountain. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And maybe you want to share with them what I was wearing and how inexperienced I was.
Again, just like day one, she had the leather book bag, not a backpack. Things hadn't changed very much.
No.
She was in running shoes. Of course, I had a full 58-liter backpack.
Here, in fact, this isn't the greatest picture to show his backpack, but this is him on the hike. And if I can do this properly, this is tricky to do.
Yeah,
there he is, skipping rocks, his favorite pastime back then, still his favorite pastime. And if you can see, he's just got this gigantic backpack on. So there's me with my tiny little book bag that carries nothing. And then there's Rob with this like big, I mean, we're climbing a mountain.
I've got all sorts of stuff, enough stuff for a couple of us, you know,
extra
warm clothing or maybe two
rain
raincoats.
Jackets, yes, because I'm wearing one of yours in a later picture that we'll show you.
Extra food, extra water. And yeah, I was completely ready to go for me and completely ready to take a rookie that was in running shoes on a hike that, depending upon route, it's debatable whether it's 26 or 27 kilometers. Yeah, we're dealing with 15, 16, 17 miles of hiking and 3/4 of a mile or almost a full kilometer of vertical gain. This is a long, slow grade. With someone who's never done a hike like that before.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be taking someone like this on that long of a hike for the first time, but okay.
Yeah. I was willing to go. He was willing to take me. It all was like, whatever, we'll go.
Willing to take that chance.
So I wrote in my journal, so for hours we walked and talked. Once we got to the other side of the mountain, we stopped for food and found shelter from the thunderstorms that were upon us. That's when I started to get scared. After the storms blew by, we continued on. At this point, I was losing confidence and getting really scared. Looking down, I saw I could fall to my death very easily. And I could. It was scary. Very scary. So I put my trust in Rob and we climbed. Just when I thought I couldn't go any further, we were there. Which, I love how I wrote that, because that's a great example for life. Isn't that always the case when we feel like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore? Well, then an end comes. Something helps us. Something shifts.
This, again, is going to be one of these pictures I hope it shows through. This is Angie at the summit of Castle Mountain that day. Have you ever seen anything looking quite so tired in all of your life?
I was exhausted.
She was destroyed.
Now, let's see if you can hold it really straight. Yeah. I don't know how well you can see the big glasses in there.
Oh, she's got giant glasses.
I'll have to try and find a good picture of my big glasses that Rob talks about, because I did have them. So, yes, I was just talking about how I was feeling pretty scared, pretty exhausted. Then I start describing how I'm starting to feel faint and out of it. And I wrote, Rob saw it coming, so he took care of me and kept giving me fluids. That was a growth period for me, because I don't do well having others take care of me. Again, I'm a nurse. I've just graduated from nursing. I'm a nurturer. I've always been a nurturer since I was born. So I'm the one that takes care of other people. I'm not the one that has people take care of me. This is a whole new experience for me.
I, too, am a nurturer. We even today we out nurture each other, trying to help each other, and we've maybe learned how to accept nurturing a little bit better. Yes. But it's I don't want to call it a struggle. It's still a trend that we more laugh at now because we bust each other on it.
Yeah, we'll have stories about nurturing later.
By the way, busted is one of our more recent words.
Oh, yes, it is. That's true. We'll have to share that one later too. That one's funny. So yeah, I'm describing how I let him take care of me because, number one, I trusted him so much, and number two, I was a mess. I kind of needed taken care of.
Hey, you're all the way up a mountain.
What else are you going to do?
You don't have a choice but to trust the other person.
Exactly.
I still had to find a way to keep her walking to get her back off the mountain.
Yes.
That was also a challenge.
And that, in fact, is what I was describing here. I was saying I felt like I wasn't me. I was so scared. Walking back the last stretches at 11 p.m. So you can imagine, we started climbing at 7 in the morning, and now got it's 11 at night.
We'd got up 3 hours earlier just to watch the sunrise. Never again?
Not for me. He's tried to take me on mountains like that again. I'm like, yeah, thanks, no. One was good. Good. I'm still proud. Every time we drive to that mountain, which we just did yesterday, I just posted some pictures of that on Facebook.
It's right along the edge of our most favorite highway that we use to go everywhere.
And every single time we drive it, I have to take pictures. And Rob's like, do you need more pictures? Yes, I do. It's Castle. I climbed that. Back to the story. So I was saying, walking back the last stretches at 11 p.m., I could barely move and was on autopilot. I was afraid that once I got in the truck, I'd lock up and wouldn't be able to get out. Which is true. I was barely moving, and I damn near wanted to kiss that truck when we got to it.
From the summit of Castle Mountain, you can look down way over the edge, down and deep into the valley, and see this little parking lot. And if you really, really could squint and remember where you parked, you could say, yeah, that dark vehicle way down there is our truck.
That was us.
Knowing that it's still 8 hours away.
Yeah. So tell them the potato chip story.
Yeah. So we get into the truck, we get rolling down the road, we're sipping water. I'm fairly tired. She is a mess. She is zoned. And so she's sitting there, and her arms are dangling by her side, one down between the seat and the door, and the other one just down by the gear shifter. And she's just zoned, staring straight ahead. And I'm thinking, she needs help. She needs electrolytes. She needs calories. She needs water. So I had a little baggie of potato chips. I usually keep a little bit of extra food just in the truck for the travel home, just to get us back to us, or whoever, myself even, back to civilization. So I reached over and I grabbed a potato chip, and I just reached over and her mouth fell open, and I put this potato chip into her mouth, and she munched it down, and her arms didn't move, not an ounce. Like she wasn't.
I couldn't even hold my own potato chip. Are you kidding?
So I picked up another one, and I fed it to her, and then I picked up another one and fed it to her. I was feeding her potato chips because she could not feed herself.
Yes, he literally fed me.
Poor
it was
girl.
So sweet. And he would do it now, too. He's that kind.
Except she would never let me get her that tired again climbing a mountain.
No,
she knows better.
Once was good. Good. Yeah. So then the next part of our story is Rob's birthday, which was only a couple days later. His birthday is August 2nd. And him and a friend had gone...
to an air show.
Thank you. I was like, what's that word?
I love airplanes. I started out my whole working career with airplanes. I love the fighter jets. I love the single engine little prop job stunt airplanes. I like all the classic old airplanes. So yeah, my best buddy and we went to an air show for my birthday.
And I decided while he was gone, since it was his birthday, I wanted to do something special. And instead of buying him something, I decided to make him something. Now, before you show that, let me read a little bit so they kind of get an idea of...
As I said, we had so many props. We're nearly lost here.
Yes, we're trying to keep it all straight. It's like trying to journals and pictures and writings and letters. So I decided to make him this very neat thing of a puzzle. I don't know where the idea came from. Very similar to the note that I put in the laundry room that we showed you in our last video. That's kind of the inspiration of this video, or this puzzle that I made. I definitely felt it was divinely guided. I mean, I'm a crafty person, yes, but I'm not that skilled. I don't know how. Looking back, I don't know how I made this. It's incredible. Oh, you know what? You're right. Maybe just show it.
Yeah, I think it's time to show the puzzle.
Because it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's cardboard box. Oh, we're getting lots of reflection here.
Lots of reflection. I might have to somehow try and post a picture of it.
Okay, maybe up here too. It's got all of our words on it on this side. And right in the middle, there's a heart, and it says love.
Actually, it doesn't. It says wow.
Oh, sorry, it says wow.
I wasn't risky enough to write love yet. I mean, we weren't quite talking the word love. I don't think we were.
And on the back side, the reflection's going to kill it again, but there was a picture of basically our first day. We have the sunset, we've got mountains, and obviously
the Takaka Falls.
Takaka Falls.
Our reverse sunset is there.
Yeah, so it's all sorts of stuff that was also part of our first day. So she made this while I'm at the air show.
Yes. And what's amazed me is I was just looking at this as we were preparing for this video last week, and I don't know if I intended this when I actually made it, but I completely forgot that there's actually 33 pieces to this puzzle because it was his 33rd birthday.
33rd birthday.
I don't know if I intended that. I must have. And the 33rd piece, I numbered them all, was the middle one, which was the heart that had the wow on it, which I'm just like, who did that? Again, I feel like Spirit helped me with that because I don't know how I came up with that one all by myself.
She's very creative.
That goes beyond my ability.
This is a little, not much beyond. Yeah, a lot of stuff that she put together for her wedding is extremely creative too.
Had fun.
Oh, tons of fun.
So what was neat is why each puzzle piece is numbered is it just goes beyond the puzzle itself. What I did is I put a piece of puzzle on each floor of our
apartment building.
Thank you.
Our apartment tower.
Yes.
In the fire escapes.
Yes.
So she started me out, I think it was about the third or fourth floor?
Well, actually, I also have, or he, from keeping it, I'll show you this and then I'll read it to you. I have, or he has, the little note that I wrote him explaining what the purpose was of all of this. So I wrote, "Hi, hope you had a great day. Get ready for more fun. Instructions. Take this piece, noting the word." So what I did is I gave him a piece of puzzle and I wrapped it in a little piece of paper, and each piece of puzzle was wrapped in its own piece of paper with words or instructions or something on it. This one says, "Hello, follow the same instructions as last time," and then it explains, go to the next stairwell and pick up the next piece of puzzle.
Now the next stairwell, I used to do my laundry in the basement, of this apartment tower, and then while my laundry was laundering, I would run up the fire escapes to my apartment, do a couple of other things, take the elevator back down, then I'd flip things to the dryer, and I'd run back up the fire escapes, all 36 stories.
This is what he did for exercise.
Yeah.
One of the many things.
Hey, why have a stair climber when you've got real stairs?
So I figured, hey, you want to run the stairs? Good, I'll give you a purpose.
So she put a puzzle on one of the fire escapes. So I'd have to go to that floor and pick up the puzzle, and then she'd have it so that the fire escape on the other side of the building, up a floor, was the next puzzle. So I'd have to go pick up a piece, then go over to the other fire escape, go up a floor, pick up that piece, then cross back over and go up a floor and pick up a piece, and cross back over and go up a floor and pick up a piece, all the way up the building. That was a workout.
Yeah. So 33 pieces, and what was there, 37 stories?
36.
So you didn't have to go up every flight of stairs, but, it was a good workout. I figured, hey, you do this all the time, no problem.
Of course, when I got started on this, I started to panic because I'm not the only person that uses the stairwells. I was afraid that somebody else would have come down and started to pick up pieces, and I wouldn't be able to get all the pieces. I was panicking. I was going as fast as I could up these stairs to make sure that none of them would disappear on me.
So how it worked is each piece of the puzzle had one of our words on it that was very significant to us. And then within the letter, here I'm going to show the puzzle again so you can see, if we can get rid of all that reflection there, if we do it that way. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's an underline of a letter in each piece of the puzzle, which then was a message for him to figure out.
So on my birthday card, which is a piece of paper, when I got all the letters from all the different pieces of puzzles, well, a lot of them added up to say, happy birthday.
And then if you open it up.
I'm
still proud of this. I'm amazed that I made this.
To an amazing friend.
And I even wrote to Rob and Rob Jr., so his inner child, and then it says, love from Angie and Nicole, my inner child. Because this was meant to be a playful, fun thing for him to do with his inner child.
Yeah.
So the funny, but maybe not so funny and sad part of this is he finally comes to my apartment with all the pieces of the puzzle, all the little notes, because each single piece of puzzle was folded. You can see the fold creases in it. They were all folded in a little piece of paper. He comes to my apartment. He's got all the pieces. He's got all the little notes. And he's not really that excited. And he's not really that grateful. And I'm like, what the hell? I just spent all day on this, and you're just kind of like, eh.
I remember I wasn't horribly excited about it. I was thankful that it happened, and I guess I wasn't even in a hurry to put it all together.
No. You didn't even build it to see the picture and to see all the words. So I was feeling quite sad, quite rejected, and taking it very personally that all this work that I had done didn't really mean anything to him.
I took it upstairs. I threw it on my kitchen table. I had a kitchen table. No bed, but a kitchen table. And I guess here's on the back side of the card is a bunch of food splatter. There's probably soy sauce, knowing me. And that's kind of how I treated my birthday card. It sat on my table for maybe 3 weeks or a month.
Yeah, probably. So, of course, you can imagine I'm feeling really sad that all this effort, and he's just like, nah. So the point we're wanting to make with this is remember that things aren't always as they seem. Your twin might do something that you read into and think, oh, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't think it's any big deal. I do this, and he's just like, meh, whatever.
This will surface again in a different part of our story, but I still have the birthday card. I tucked away all the puzzle pieces.
Every single note that went with the puzzle piece.
I put it all together.
The instructions. He has those.
I kept it. It was something that nobody had ever done anything like that for me before. As much as I hadn't showed excitement, I thought it was really cool. I tucked it away into my filing cabinet system, and it surfaced years and years later.
So the fact that he kept this all those years we were separated, 17 years.
Even though I didn't seem excited at the beginning.
It obviously meant enough to him. So we are both ecstatically grateful that we have two very significant pieces of our past. The note that I put in the laundry room of how we first met, and then this from like a week later, this puzzle that I made for him that is so significant because it's got our words on it. It's got a picture on the back, even though I'm not really an artist. It's got a little picture on the back of our first day together with Takakaw Falls, with our reverse sunset. This was obviously significant enough to him, even though he didn't show it outwardly to me, that he kept this for all these years, and we still have these all these years later. So what a blessing.
And so that was really a continuation of our first 2 weeks together.
Yes.
Do you have any more material?
I just wanted to read this last bit to wrap it up, actually. I wrote, so that's my 2 weeks with Rob that are more like 2 months. A week for us is more like a month. Very fast growth, which is so true. We were growing at such a pace. I mean, in 2 weeks, we had met, we had had cup runneth over moments, we had had 90 hours of talking with only 8 hours of sleep, we had climbed a huge mountain and bonded deeply with talking and trust. Of course, trust was never a big thing or a good thing for me, but yet I trusted him deeply. Then we had this whole monumental puzzle thing happen. So just enormous amounts of stuff, enormous amounts of connecting and growth and bonding in 2 weeks.
But the 2 weeks, let's be fair here to a lot of the rest of the world. You know, people will date for a couple hours and then they'll be not together for a day or two, and then they'll date for another couple hours and then not be together for a day or two, and then they'll go out for an afternoon together and not see each other till the next weekend.
We didn't have that.
We didn't. We were spending 2/3 of the hours that were in existence of 2 weeks together. We jammed the equivalent of 3 months worth of dating into 2 weeks.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, and it was so action-packed too. It was non-stop.
Yeah.
So it just fed upon itself. It just got, I don't want to use words out of control. It was fantastic time together.
Yes.
But,
so that is our love story in 2 weeks. So we're going to leave it there, and next video we'll share some maybe runner chaser stuff going on.
Yes, that's we've already got a little note here saying next video, the runner.
Yeah, already. But we'll get into that later. And also keep out. We're not sure when we'll do our first tangent talk, but keep watch for that because they'll be coming as well. So for now, we're going to say goodnight and leave you with our fun little last finishing of remember, if you want to connect with your twin, always go within because you are one. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you later.
Good night.
Bye.